Hello everyone, that's right, Film Daddy's back, and this time it's to catch up with this week's roundup of movies. And let's kick things off with Bad Boys: Ride or Die. Bad Boys: Ride or Die is the fourth in the franchise because someone stupidly called the third one Bad Boys for Life. Why these titles weren't the other way round? I'll never know. But here we are, where Martin Lawrence and Will Smith team up once again as buddy cops to protect their old boss's name and take down some corrupt coppers from inside the force. Now, I must admit, I'm neither here nor there with the Bad Boys franchise. I think the first two are fine. The first one in memory is a little bit more serious and black and white, straightforward. The second one is all of that on cocaine. Just basically the exact same story, but amplified to 20. It's stupid, it's over the top, there's some storylines in there that are genuinely head-scratching, but the action's insane, the cinematography is pretty decent as well, it captures it all very well and it's all practical, and the biggest praise I can give it is it's damn quotable. Many of my years in secondary school were spent quoting Bad Boys 2. The third one, on the other hand, I have completely forgotten that film. I saw it, I definitely saw it, couldn't tell you a thing that happened in it. I remember that Bjorn from Vikings was in it. That's it. And now we're at the fourth one, and it is expecting you to remember what happened in that third one. So I was off to a bad start. I didn't have a clue who anybody was. I didn't know where we were, what the setting was. It was a very rocky opening. I managed to slowly figure pieces out, but the overall problem was that all of this setup was just leading to nothing. It kind of reminded me in Tommy Wiseau's The Room at times, in the sense that a story will start and it will just be forgotten. Will Smith is having panic attacks, but who gives a shit because you only hear about it once. Martin Lawrence is fat and he likes candy, and we're only going to bring it up every 5 minutes and make jokes about candy all the time. They ask him for his password and it's Snickers. Do you get it? Because he's fat. He's really fat and that's funny. Yeah, if you haven't guessed, I hated the humour in this film. It took 20 minutes to annoy me. It's so off-kilter and just nonsensical. Some of the jokes don't even make sense. Plenty of them are just walk-on cameos. Within the first 10 minutes, we have that guy, I don't know his name, he's fallen off the face of the earth. He was famous for about 5 months. It's that guy who used to shrug at everything. Yeah, he pops up in here for a walk-on gag. That's going to age like milk in 5 years' time. Everyone's going to be asking who the hell that is, and why does that scene just come to an abrupt halt for that? A man shrugging. I think it's a joke, at least I hope it's a joke, but we have a moment where we actually reenact Black Panther, where we go to the other realm and see our lost forefathers. My head nearly completely detached and fell off into my popcorn at that scene. This film is just bonkers. It's just so much stuff happening, whether it be in the story, or the dialogue, or the action, or the cinematography, or the editing. It's all doing it all the time, non-stop. Every shot is over the top, over-stylized, every colouring is completely blinding neon. This director has absolutely no understanding of toning it the fuck down. Sometimes less is more. If this thing was put on fast forward with the Happy Tree Friends theme put over it, I think you'd have a self-induced sugar crash. It's just so much, all of the time, to a point that it's kind of hilarious. I can't say that I completely hated the film because there are times where I can see a genuine effort being put in from all in there. I think some of the effects are pretty good. I think some of the action is pretty good. I think it's paced relatively well. But I just struggled like hell to be engaged with this thing on any level. Bad Boys: Ride or Die gets a 3 out of 10. Next up is Hitman, starring Glenn Powell, and I was always a little bit sceptical about this movie, if I'm being honest with you, because when I first heard about this film, it was actually being compared to David Fincher's The Killer from earlier in the year. There was a lot of reports talking about, we have 2 Hitmen movie, one with Fassbender, one with Glenn Powell, which one's going to be colder, which one's going to be cooler, which one's going to be slicker, what's going to be the better Hitman movie? And I think the people who made Hitman caught wind of that and decided to pull their film out of the race and release it later in the year, because Hitman very much is not that film. This is a rom-com, and it's such a shame that it's a rom-com because for 30-40 minutes, I was genuinely interested in this. I thought Glen Powell was great. I really liked the direction, I liked the flow and the pace. I thought it was written quite well also. They were genuinely getting into some muddy waters of character, personality, motivations. Some of the comedy was okay. I think some of it went a bit overboard sometimes, but generally the little odd one-liner was quite smirk-worthy. I liked that they were getting into the waters of the psychology of these people who would want a hitman, and also what sort of hitman that person would want and expect and buy and believe. There's actually a lot of depth there that could genuinely be explored and be interesting, as well as exploring the moral compass of whether or not it's right or wrong to do this in the first place. But instead we're going to throw all of that out the window and turn it into a love story. Oh, I literally felt the air be sucked out of the room as the female actress arrived. I'm sorry I don't know her name, and I do want to make it clear it's nothing against her. Her performance is fine. I just hated the chemistry she had with Glen Powell. Hated the lack of chemistry she had with Glen Powell, shall I say. In fact, they're both kind of awful, to be honest, which makes them perfect for each other. But in the good words of Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny, this isn't will they, won't they? This is I know they won't. And I don't want them to. They're awful people and they play it off like we're meant to like them, ignoring that giant problem in the fact that this person just tried to have someone else murdered. And we're meant to be fine with that now, despite the first 40 minutes setting up how we're not meant to be fine with that. And of course she's got an abusive, horrible ex who's going to be on the scene, and it's all going to be lies and under the table, and she can't find out my true identity despite the fact I love her, and just get me out of here. The longer this went on, the more and more and more painfully predictable this became. I felt trapped by it. Thank God it was only on Netflix and I could actually get up and start doing other things. If I wasn't a critic and had to do this review, I think I would have changed the channel. I don't think I would have persisted with it. But don't you worry, my lovelies. Just for you, I stuck with it. You are very welcome. But I can't deny I did start doing some chores around the house and just, maybe go and make a cup of tea and not pause the telly. Whoopsie. Kill 5 minutes of it. Yeah, I have absolutely zero inclination to watch this again. Maybe if you're into that sort of film, you'll love it. Have a good time with it. Check it out. Personally, the biggest head scratch that I have about this film is that it actually really reminded me of Ghosted from last year. And what I don't really get in the public reaction is that last year I think everyone quite accumulatively agreed that Ghosted was horseshit. Really effing bad. And this really isn't that far removed from Ghosted. It's just far better in production and writing. And yet this one seems to be really working with the crowds. This one's getting like 7s out of 10s, 8 out of 10s. Not for me though, I'm afraid. Hitman also gets a 3 out of 10. Next up is Under Paris, a French movie just arriving on Netflix where sharks, well, believe it or not, are swimming through the Seine River. And marine biologists are trying to figure out why and how to get it out of there before a disaster occurs. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't going to check this movie out. I wasn't even aware it was coming out. The reason I did though is because Mrs. IMO, believe it or not, is obsessed with sharks. And I mean obsessed. Like, she knows bizarre facts about these animals. I'm pretty confident they're her favourite animal. And she loves a good shark movie, so we dived in head first. I went in with quite a low bar. I was easy to please. I was still quite ticked off from having watched Hitman just beforehand. And I can say that Under Paris is no masterpiece. It's full of problems, it hasn't got a very big budget, and it absolutely shows. But it does exactly what it says on the tin. It was fun, it was goofy, it was relatively well paced, it kept moving at an okay speed. The finale was gripping and enthralling. It even managed to chuck a bit of goofy humour in there. Under Paris was a perfect Friday night takeaway, rainy night sort of movie that you would just chuck on and have a good giggle with. You don't need to take it seriously. You don't need to look at it and think this is high cinema. It's a fun, cheesy shark B movie, and it absolutely delivered on that. If you go in with the right mindset, this can be a lot of fun. Characters make ridiculous decisions. They're just outright stupid and selfish. In fact, some of them are just straight up caricatures of what you think this character is going to be. Of course the mayor is a complete knob. Of course the mayor is going to ignore all of the warnings. Yeah, it's not pulling its punches. It's playing into every cliche it's got in the toy box. My personal favourite scene is a moment where they sort of do a Shark Avengers Assemble moment. There's a montage of this girl on a web cinema who's like talking to the people and rallying them, saying we have to save our oceans and all this, and saving this shark can save the world. Are you with me? It is so corny. You're not just beating the audience over the head at that point, you're practically bludgeoning them. Like I said, the effects are pretty bad. I don't think they ever get quite as bad as Sharknado, but they're only maybe 1 or 2 levels ahead of it. But there are some decent shots in the film throughout. I think some of the performances are okay. I do like a lot of the setting and location. I think there's some good imagination to the story as well. It's not entirely original, but they try to do something interesting with it. It far from blew my socks off, but I'm really not mad at it. I would watch this again. So I'm going to give Under Paris a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. Have you seen any of the films we've discussed today? What did you think about them? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, if you haven't had enough of this crazy ginger, we can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in an IMO wormhole. But if not, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.